Good day everyone out there. You are welcome to Literature Hub 247. This is a literature channel where the art and science of literature are discussed. It is also a free literature class for all literature students because on this channel we have discussed all the recommended texts and poems by WAEC and NECO as well as the past questions. This class is basically on an African prose titled Second Class Citizen. The African prose is titled Second Class Citizen. We are going to discuss past questions, that is 2022 NECO past questions on Second Class Citizen. Now, the first question there says, with relevant references, discuss the role race played to dampen the living standard of the Ophiles. With relevant references, discuss the role race played to dampen the living standard of the Ophiles. Let's look at the questions. Let's look at the question very well. Let's observe the question very well. The question says, with relevant references, that is, you are expected to make reference to the text. You cite instances, examples from the text in answering this question. Now the solution. You must first tell us the meaning of racial discrimination. Now, racial discrimination is the act of favoring a particular set of people at the expense of another. In Second Class Citizen, the blacks are discriminated against in the UK, and this is seen through Ada. That is, it is through Ada as a character that we see this in the text. Ada, the protagonist of the novel, is from the Ophile family. Other members are her father, mother, and her junior brother, that is, Pa, Ma, and Boy. She was born to the tribe where male children are more valued, hence her date of birth was not recorded. He was not even enrolled in school while his junior brother, Boy, was enrolled. Despite these ugly experiences, her expectations in life are high, that is Ada's expectation. With great determination, she pursues her goals. She enrolled herself in primary school and went through secondary education. Circumstances forced her to get married and get a well-paid job as a librarian in the American consulate. All these are just a background to answering the question. We are preparing ground to the answer. We are preparing ground to the answer to the question. Ada developed the ambition to travel to the UK when lawyer Nweze was given a rousing reception when he came back from the UK by his people. She tells Francis, her husband, about it, and he also buys the idea. Francis travels to the UK first before Ada and her two children join him there later. On getting to the UK, it is Francis that first educates Ada on her status in the UK when she complains about Francis' accommodation. That is, when Ada gets to the UK, Ada complains about the accommodation that Francis rented. He tells her that the moment she lands in the UK, she becomes a second-class citizen. That blacks are restricted to certain restaurants and accommodation in the UK. So it is Francis that first educates Ada on the difference between being a first-class citizen and a second-class citizen. That the moment you are in the UK as a black, you have become a second-class citizen. Ada also experiences envy from the co-tenant when her children are allowed to stay with her in the house. Blacks are expected to foster their children. It is also discovered that black women are expected to work in factories, but Ada is lucky to secure a job as a librarian. So the co-tenants envy Ada because of a place of work and because the children are staying with them in the house. Race plays a greater role in the lives of Ada and her husband. When the need arises, then they look for another accommodation. It was difficult for them to get one. Most of the vacancies they see have the inscription, sorry, no colored, quote and unquote, written on them. That means that the blacks are not, and that means the accommodation is not for the black. When they discover a vacancy at Uli Street, Ada has to pretend to be white while putting a call across to the landlady by pressing her nose while talking. This will change intonation. The woman agrees to give them the accommodation, but when she sees them, the narrative changes. She tells them that the room is already rented. In England, Titi, Ada's first child, is discouraged from speaking in Yoruba by Francis, her father. This nearly affects her verbally as she nearly turns dumb. It is believed that anybody that speaks any other language besides English language is a second-class citizen. When Vicky is discovered to be sick on Christmas Day, the white doctor refuses to come because the child is black. It is a Chinese doctor considered as black that comes to attend to them. He then discovers that Vicky is sick as a result of bedbug. Now to the second question. Second-class citizen is a feminist novel. Discuss. Second-class citizen is a feminist novel. Discuss. Now the solution. To answer this question, you first need to explain the meaning of feminist. The meaning of feminist. African society is one that is characterized by male chauvinism. What we mean there is that males are believed to be superior to females. Feminist is a term first recorded in English in 1852. It is a movement that believed in bringing about the equality of sexes in all aspects of public and private life, especially in a world dominated by men. That is, that movement was established to bring about equality between the sexes, that is, male and female. Buchi Emecheta, that's the author of Second Class Citizen. Buchi Emecheta uses Ada Ofili in this novel as a feminist character. She is from Ibuza village, which is part of the tribe that places more importance on male children than the females, in which Ada is directly affected in the novel. Her birth was not given any recognition as the family expected a male child, hence her date of birth was not recorded. They believed that she was a disappointment to the family and her tribe. Because Ada came a female child, her date of birth was not even recorded. When it is time to enroll her in school, she is not enrolled, while her junior brother, boy, is enrolled. Ada has to take him to school every morning. You can see that there. Ada was not enrolled, but her brother was enrolled, and she has to take him to school every morning. Ada doesn't allow this to deter her from making progress and matches herself up with the opposite sex. Against all odds, Ada enrolls herself in primary school. Even when her father died, she still struggled to acquire secondary education. She stays with Uncle Vincent, who punishes her for losing 2 shillings, which she uses to pay for the common entrance form. When Ada gets married to Francis, she meets another issue to contend with as a wife. Francis believes that he is the Alpha and the Omega of the house. Ada should do all his biddings. Her father-in-law also shifted the whole responsibilities of the family to Ada. She takes care of the expenses of Francis' sisters. As a feminist, Ada doesn't wish to have such a marriage. She believes that marriage should be an institution of self-determination. She doesn't wish to have a home full of trouble. When Ada gives birth to Titi after her marriage to Francis, they also feel the disappointment they felt when she was born a baby girl. In the UK, the two pictures of Francis come out. His selfishness and apathy towards her increases on a daily basis. Ada is responsible for the payment of Francis' school fees, who also cheats on her by having illicit affairs with Trudy, the baby minder. Ada tries to make herself happy. For example, while in the hospital, she buys 20 greeting cards and addresses them to herself so as not to feel neglected in the hospital. Francis is supposed to do this as done by the other patients in the hospital, but he doesn't count it as very important. Francis' maltreatment of Ada in her matrimonial home forces her to decide not to have any pregnancy again. Hence, she decides to go for family planning at all costs. When the situation gets to the climax, her heart is now heavy as the marriage is already deteriorating. She is relieved by the intervention of Opera, a stranger who comes to console her at the park. She is already looking for someone to listen to her, that is Ada. She opens up to him and he follows her home. At that stage, the feminist traits in Ada are coming out as she doesn't want to use sir, quote unquote, for Francis again or regard him as a master. This makes Francis regret bringing Ada to the UK and allows her to mix up with middle-class English women. The story gets to the climax when Francis burns a manuscript. Ada then takes a decisive action by dissolving the marriage, and her children are in her custody in the two-bedroom apartment she hired. She gains her total freedom from her husband's domination and assimilates to British culture. So, we have done justice to the two questions. If you have any question on this or any other text, that is, if you have any question on second class citizen or any other text or poems recommended by WAEC and NECO, you are free to ask your question. Just send it through the message box down there and the questions shall be answered. You are free to share any of our video on any social media platform. You can also invite your friend to join us. And if you are not part of this channel, just click on the subscribe button and become part of us because it is a free literature class. God bless you.